Oh, yeah.
We are
back.
back.
We're back, baby.
We are back on a Tuesday. Welcome, everyone.
S-T-A-T-E. Florida State, Florida State, Florida State. Woo!
Welcome, everyone, to Seminole Sideline 365. As always, I am KB, and alongside me is Bruce. Like I said, we are finally in May. It is Tuesday, and we had a lot going on this past weekend with the NFL draft finally concluding. All the best players in the world getting drafted to go into the various teams, saying who got drafted, who didn't get drafted. Some big NIL news, also with the transfer deadline wrapping up on Sunday, I believe it was, or May 1st. So there was a lot of big stuff going around college football in relation to Florida State, as well as the whole college football picture or college football world in general. So, but before we get into it, how was your weekend, Bruce?
What the hell did I do? What did I do this weekend? Where was I? I can't even remember what I did.
Scary.
Yeah, it is scary. It is scary. I guess I didn't do much because I can't remember it. Not much.
All right.
Preparing. I'm headed to Texas tomorrow. Hey, little recruiting trip. Going to stop by, see Jimbo, see the big Jimbo, NIL, talk some NIL stuff. We're going to Dallas, Fort Worth, actually, for a wedding. And then we're going down to San Antonio. We're going to stop by McKinney, Texas. Going to go down to San Antonio, then over to San Padre Island. You're taking the rods, doing a little fishing, a little outdoor. Coming back through the panhandle of Florida. We're doing a whole tour. We're doing a whole tour. Nice. So, yeah, I was planning for that. How about you?
Met up with some friends on Friday nights, just kind of chilling out, had some wine, and then on Saturday, what did I do on Saturday? I did something on Saturday, I just can't remember what it was. But just, watching some draft coverage. I'm not really interested. I tried a new barbecue place around me, which was good. I hadn't had barbecue in months or years. It felt like years I hadn't had barbecue.
What was it? Was it good?
It's this place I was actually on Shark Tank. They got investments, pork barrel barbecue brothers or something like that.
Hey, we have a rule. If we don't see wood out back where they're cooking over wood, we're out. That can't be real barbecue. Did you see any wood, or is it coming out of a plastic bag?
It was good. It was good. It had the smoke rings on the brisket. It was good.
Have you ever been to Jim and Milt's in Tallahassee?
Yeah, that place is not good.
I'm sorry. Good. No, you're right. I'm going to agree. We don't always agree. We went to Jim and Milt's for a game, before a game. I think it was before the UMass game, and because that's been there since the 60s. It's been there since I was in school there back in the 70s. And it has gone down. It's not the same.
Unfortunately, yeah.
And I think it's
small businesses
it's sad.
Succeed.
And I love I just love the setup there. And I know they're probably not going to be our sponsor after this plug, but they're not doing it upright.
They still are highly rated though. Still highly.
I know it is. I love the tradition there, but
If I'm not right though, they closed down. They're done.
No, Jim and Milt's?
Yeah, they closed down in November, I believe.
No way.
Yes.
No, I'd be shocked. I'm going to look that up later.
I believe because I had it the last time I had it was 4 or 5 years ago, and
I just had it last season.
But I'm pulling up this article right now. Yeah, they closed.
Are you kidding me?
Yep.
43 years.
Yeah, that's sad.
Shout out to Jim and Milt. And that's sad because back in the day, it was good. It was the hangout place. I did notice their customer base had kind of dropped off because I'll tell you, you don't see the wood. What are these guys cooking? You know?
Yeah. So
that's sad. Okay.
You know it's closed. Now you know.
But the next time I'm on campus, I'm going to go back to the sweet shop in the middle of campus. It's been there forever, probably 43 years or more. Sweet shop for lunch. They don't do dinner.
I'm glad they're still open. There you go.
Let's go. Hey, do we have any sponsors this week?
I don't know. You tell me, Bruce. You're the big guy on the road. Getting sponsorship.
I think we do have our sponsor, Coasties. Coasties on the move, brother. And tell us about Coasties, KB.
Yep, Coasties on the Move is a military focus, real estate logistics. Well, I say logistics only, but they help connect military families who are always on the move with other military families potentially who are also moving. So helps connect those coming in to a county, to a state, the other ones that are moving out. So you can really connect with those who are already in the military looking to move or move and leave, and find the right home for you. So they have a great network of different families all across all the different branches of the military, all across all the different bases across the country. So it's great because you don't have to go on Redfin. You don't have to go on all these confusing sites, but you have a family network, just like the military is, of different connections there that the owner of Coasties on the Move can connect you with in finding the right home for your family near, in the right areas around those bases as they're moving. So if you're in the military, if you're looking at moving soon, if you're getting moving to a new base in the upcoming months, check out coastiesonthemove.com. Check out their listings and reach out to the owner on that website for more information. So
yeah, and let me say this too. And we don't say this a lot, not like other channels do, but please. If you like what you hear, you kind of like what you hear, even if you don't like what you hear, hit that subscribe button. It's free. There's no fees. There's no premium service. We're not looking to take any money from anybody. Hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, and then hit that bell, and you'll know the next time we're on. And we love having you here. We love hearing from you, and we love your questions and comments. So,
yep.
Okay. All
right. What's on the docket for tonight?
Well, we have to talk about the NFL. We have to talk about the NFL draft, and we have to talk about how the Seminoles fared in that and what that means for the program moving forward. So that's what we're going to hit on tonight. And I'll start it off with, I don't think it was a great harvest year for the NFL here in the farms of Florida, so to speak. And that's across the board. I'm not just talking about FSU, but we're talking about UF and we're talking Miami.
Yeah.
None of the schools really hit it out of the park. I mean, they didn't even come close to hitting it out of the park, but we're going to focus on Florida State.
Yeah.
Florida State, I don't say as expected. There was a little bit of a surprise drop. And that was on our superstar one-year portal, Jermaine Johnson, number 11, the portal player from Georgia. He dropped a little bit further than was expected. But you know what? I think I agree with some of the comments I saw online and watching a little bit, how the media really, pushes some of this stuff. And it's wrong. But for Jermaine Johnson, let's give him a shout out. Congratulations. First round, 26 pick of the New York Jets.
Yep.
Okay.
They had a great draft overall if you watch any of it. But yeah, I mean, they had a great, and they actually talked about how they were potentially going to use their 10th round pick or 10th overall pick on him, but they decided not to. And then when he was still available, they trade back up so they could get him faster to make sure of that. So it was definitely a player they liked. But like you said, I think having him in the top 10 was a little bit overblown, but that didn't mean teams didn't like him. It was just in that top 10, top 15, they thought he was a little bit more, but I think it's a great spot for him. And I think Some of the things that I heard, though, I think were wrong in terms of one evaluator, one of the sites said that the reason he slipped was due to I think it was like personality issues or culture issues, and everyone like you could see all the people on Twitter going against it. It was like, well, first of all, the guy was one of the main leaders after just 1 year transferring in. He became a leader of the Florida State team and kept that group together after the Jackson State game and I think Jacksonville State and all that stuff. Well, first of all, and two, he's been nothing but a class act in any of the interviews you see with him. Even after he left the college, like he continues to give back to the university. And even the Georgia fans said there was nothing bad when he was at that school either. He just worked hard and kept to himself. The only thing that I think, the truth that came out of that is potentially there was rumors about his dad being kind of a helicopter parent, and kind of. But I don't think that would scare an NFL, like an NFL team away. So I'm really not sure, why someone like that would do a statement like that. I do believe there was probably some more media overhype of his position. But I think it's a great spot for him. He's still a first round player. I think he maybe even puts himself in a better position, better coaching scheme, defensive scheme for himself. And I'm excited to watch him.
I agree with just about all of what you just said. I would add the following. This guy, like you said, he came in 1 year. He knew what he came in for. Mm-hmm. He came in to show what he was unable to show at UGA, and that is a more all-down type snap guy, mm-hmm. Not just a specialty edge rusher. And because I think that was the little bit of weakness that came out is, can he really hold the edge? Rushing off the edge to get to the quarterback is totally different than holding the edge when they're running the ball your way. I think that's where they really maybe questioned a little bit of his size, but I think he's going to do fine there. But I think if he has anything he needs to work on, it is going to be holding the edge and not rushing off the edge. But he came in 1 year. He came in mindset, I've got to put stuff on tape. He didn't complain when there were losses. He was a leader. People looked up to him, and he kept that locker room together. Yeah. So I think that alone is the best character issue you can have, and he kept grinding. So I think they have a guy that is going to give them everything they're going to ask of him. And I just want to say, and I know speaking for you, we wish him the very best of luck because now it's all business. Yeah. You said last time out, this is the corporation world. It's about numbers. It's about performance. Everything he does, practice, but more so in games, will be tracked. And his future in the NFL, which a lot of people say stands for not for long, his future will depend upon those numbers. Yeah. And mostly the numbers coming off the edge, getting to the quarterback. Yeah. That's what they want mainly. So Jermaine Johnson, number 11, came in 1 year, kicked ass, and got to the next level. And people who see that, other portal guys coming in for its 1 year or more years should also follow his example or call him up and say, how do you do this?
Yeah. Oh, and I think one last thing on this. I think it shows you that you don't have to be on a great player on a great team,
right,
to get drafted in the first round. I think if there was any still notions that that's how it works, like you have to be the greatest player on Alabama, or you have to be on these powerhouse teams, or you have to only transfer to a great team that has a great year in order to get recognition. Like that's not the case, as with Johnson. And I was looking at the ACC in terms of people who got drafted. Two of the top teams, Virginia Tech and North Carolina, who both had 4 picks in the draft. I mean, neither of them were anything to call home about. Those were average teams in the ACC. The two best teams, probably Pittsburgh and Clemson and Wake Forest, they only had 2 each. So it's just one of those things. And if you shine, if you're a truly great player, and you get that opportunity to showcase it, you're going to be seen. It doesn't matter where you go. So I think that's one thing. And, of course, we'll talk about NIL.
Well, I agree. And I totally agree with what you're saying. If you're dominating at your position, I don't care if you're at a James Madison or you're at Bethune-Cookman, Jackson State.
Look at San Diego State had 4 players drafted.
Exactly. If you're a hard worker, you keep your name clean and you take care of business at your position, you're going to get seen.
Yeah.
You're going to get seen. The scouts are all over the country. And we're not going to get into this tonight, but I've said this before, and I'm going to continue to say this. The personnel system of the NFL is college ball.
Yeah.
This is where they come to harvest the next players in their league. And what's the total pick? 262 out of their. It's like that, till they get to Mr. Irrelevant. But they come to harvest the players out of college football, and we're not going to get into that more tonight. But the bottom line is you got to put on tape and you got to be on the field. So if you want to go to the next level, that's what you got to do, and you got to find a place to do it. You can't be a troublemaker. You can't be crybabying all the time. They don't want that. No. They want people who bring their culture, which is involvement in the community, solid supportive involvement, and production on the field.
Yep. And to cap it off, 5 players from Division II got drafted. Like you said, you can be found at the smallest school. If you're putting up numbers, you'll be found. I mean, you'll be found if you ball out. So, all right, we can drop.
Yeah, well, you can go out. Yeah. I mean, we could talk about players who've done that. We may at some time, but a guy like Jerry Rice, he didn't go to some big school.
Yeah, exactly. So,
yeah. So let's talk about. So one guy gets picked out of the 262. I don't know what the number is. 266. Who cares? It's very few who get drafted. Now you have the next level, and that is the undrafted free agents who teams have on their board. They see who doesn't get drafted. They've already sketched this out and who they want to call up and get them to sign a deal. Now that deal money is a lot less, of course.
Yeah.
But it's going to give a undrafted free agent an opportunity that they wouldn't have, except they got to go to the XFL, the USFL, or Canadian ball, one or the other. But this gives them opportunity. And Florida State had some guys in that category.
Yeah. And in some cases too, going undrafted is sometimes a better situation than being drafted in the 6th or 7th round.
Can be.
Because you can pick where you want to go and have a better chance at making that team versus getting selected by a team that's already loaded at a position. They just want to have a body to bring in and see what happens. And the money difference isn't that much because at that late stage, and they're going to bring you in as a restricted free agent.
Right.
You're not missing out that much money there.
Right.
But instead you get to pick where you want to go, essentially, what offer you want to accept. Because if you're still a top player that didn't get drafted, you're going to have a couple of offers to come to camp.
Yeah, let's talk about these guys individually. And the first one I like to talk about is Jay-Sean Corbin, right?
Yeah.
Jay-Sean Corbin. Now let's talk about. I'm going to talk about in terms of, was that a good signing by a team? We don't have to get into the specific teams. You can if you want. I don't really care. I think Corbin has a real good chance to make it. He kind of reminded me a little bit, not in style or performance, but of toughness and grinding and wants it. Very motivated because he reminds me a little bit of a Cam Akers. Cam Akers played behind a terrible team. No, I'm talking about in general. Corbin ran with maybe a line that was a little bit better than Akers, but I think Corbin has a chance to make it, especially if he can play some special teams. I think Corbin didn't get picked in the draft because he's questionable catching the ball coming out of the backfield.
Yeah, that's probably some of it. I honestly, this one's a little bit of a head scratcher based on like the late round running backs that got selected ahead of him. there were some guys taken off the board that he's definitely can outproduce, at least on the college level. If you had been,
he had like 800 yards last season,
but that was splitting carries too.
Yeah.
So I think that's the thing. It was more of a committee style of running game. It wasn't like he was getting 30 carries a game or 25 carries a game.
Right.
So I think that's important to keep in mind. I think the biggest thing against him was, the injury. I still think that gets held against him.
I do.
Is the injury history. And I don't remember, and he's played 4 seasons of college football. So on a running back, in terms of the longevity of he's taken the pounding, the injury, 4 seasons of college football.
And he had no injuries last season.
No, but I'm saying the pounding adds up. And NFL guys, if they're going to spend a 3rd round, 4th round, because he was projected, some people had between the 3rd and 5th round. I think that age factor does play into on how much more mileage can his injured legs or post-injury legs take in an NFL if we were to give him a secondary role, or even in a 3rd round pick. You have to get somewhat strategic with that. So I think they were like, it's not worth it. We'll take a younger guy that's less productive and take a chance on him versus someone.
Somebody was saying it was about his age too.
That's what I said. That's what I'm saying. I think
ridiculous.
Him being 4 seasons in, being an older running back with more mileage on him, played against him. Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. I can definitely see that.
But what do you think he'll make it? Do you think he'll make the team, at least the practice squad, if nothing else?
I feel like with the Giants, I think he may have a chance with the situation they got going on, with the running back position.
A fresh coaching staff too. So.
Yeah, I think that's a positive. They've been struggling with their running back rotation with Saquon Barkley. So I think he'll have an opportunity. I do think he'll get a look. And if he balls out, I mean, he was at the combine too. I think that's the funniest thing too, is that Jay Sean got invited to the combine. So coaches had the chance to look at him. I think those existential factors played against him for some reason. I know why. But I think he'll have a chance with the Giants. I think it was a good selection by him. And that maybe played it instead of being picked in 6th by some random team. I think him getting an offer from the Giants and then selecting that offer, he knew he's going to have a fair shot at making.
I think he's going to have a real good opportunity in practice sessions and in the games, because they're not going to play Barkley. Their top running backs. They're not going to do it because he's had injuries. He's going to get a look, and he also has to play special teams. If he's able to do that and be effective, I think he makes at least the practice squad.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I think he's got a great shot.
Okay, let's look at defensive end Kier Thomas.
Yeah,
what do you think happened there?
I don't know. I mean, he seemed to. I by all standards, I think we all said he was dynamic duo with Jermaine. Like, he didn't get the double-digit sack numbers that Jermaine did, but he was an influence. Like, he put pressure at the line, and usually, most teams don't have 12, 13 sack players, unless you're in Alabama or something like that. But usually, one guy, there's a tandem of guys that one guy causes the pressure, the other guy can clean up and finish it, right? So you have to have 2 of those guys. Usually, you don't just have one dominant guy in the line. There's a combination of 2 or 3 guys that bring that pressure, and one guy usually caps it off with those sacks. So I think I was surprised. Once again, I think I think his length may have played into it. If I was reading it right, that some of it may have been his length and the size of it. Now, once again, with these draft picks on defensive line, I think he probably is better than some of the guys that get drafted ahead of him. And so I'm kind of just surprised why he got passed up overall, because I think some of it may have been the statistics. And the one thing I'll say about where he selected to go with the Rams is probably not. I don't know why he selected the Rams, unless it was his only offer, because that is a veteran group. They have a set line, and it's a veteran group, and so I don't think he makes it past the initial stages camp, just because they're loaded there. So I don't know if that was his only offer. We don't know those things. It's just tough. So I'm honestly not sure why he didn't get a selection in the later rounds. Why some of these teams are struggling, like the Redskins or the Commanders spend a first round pick or a second or third round pick on a defensive line player when they're loaded at defensive line. I don't know why they didn't wait later to take a chance on someone like Kier, but it was surprising to me that
I think they don't know where to put him.
Yeah.
He's kind of listed as a defensive end. He didn't play really deep. He played inside. Unless I'm crazy.
Yeah, no, right? People list him as a linebacker. He's like a tweener.
He's like, but he mostly played last season. I thought he was playing. He played defensive tackle inside. He was next to Coop and Fabian Lovett. They were in there to get. But he was a grinder. He kept to his business. I don't think he had big numbers. He's not the type of guy that was getting to the quarterback a lot. He can stop the run there in that position. I think it's his size and weight. They just really don't know where to put him. And I think, again, he's going to have an opportunity, but it's a long-range shot for him. And I hate to say this, is sometimes players are brought in just to fill out the rosters and get for practice against other people. I don't want to say, and that's going to be unfortunate. But he has an opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah, and once again, I don't know if one of the things, like you said, that you don't know where to place him because of that size and how he was played different positions, and maybe his age too. Like, this is a guy that was a class of 2016 player.
Yeah.
So some of that, like some of these players some of these teams want to take.
Yeah, he really didn't. He didn't have one dominating year. That. So
Florida State was his overall best. I mean, he's been in college for 6 seasons. Like that, that's a lot. So
that's a lot. Yeah. Okay. Let's move on to one of our receivers, Andrew Parchment, 4th and 13. We got the T-shirts. A play that lives in destiny against the Miami Hurricanes. It takes us to victory. Andrew Parchment doesn't get drafted, but he gets a phone call for a free agency. Thoughts?
Yeah, I really didn't expect. I don't think many people expected him to get drafted. I think it makes sense. He put up like 300 yards at Florida State.
I didn't expect him to get a phone call of any sort. To be honest,
I don't think it's surprising for him to not get a phone call, to not get drafted. Oh, well, no.
I'm talking about even as a free agent, I was a little surprised.
I think he has the tangibles to play to be a reserve, a talented reserve. Maybe he's a tough player for me. Like, sometimes I felt like he checked out a couple of times last season when he wasn't getting the ball. And I know the Florida State offense is probably frustrating for receiver. Well, some of our receivers just aren't talented, but sometimes I think Jordan, I'm not going to go too deep into that, but I think sometimes I felt like Andrew did check out a couple of times, but then he makes those big plays like during the Miami game and save what's similar to the season we had in terms of 25 games that you won that game. So it's tough. I think he has the size. He does have the speed and he has decent hands. He had a couple of drops last season, but I think to bring someone in to compete for a backup role or at least push the camp along and push the mini camp, I think he's worth bringing in. Like, you're not spending a whole bunch of money, and you'll see what happens. I've seen you see receivers on NFL teams all the time that you've never heard of, and I know around here the Commanders in DC, we've had a bunch of guys that have been undrafted. We have had 1 or 2 guys that have been undrafted that have made the mini camp and shined, and then they come in.
Well, I was surprised when Kelvin Benjamin made the big catch that won the national championship for the Noles. He really wasn't a superstar.
That season he was, though. That
Florida
season
State,
he was.
But that catch projected him, and he went on had decent years in the NFL. Definitely. But you don't know. I'm not comparing him to Andrew Parchment. I don't think Andrew Parchment is going to make it. Okay, I think he's inconsistent with his hands, and I question his ability to get off the line and get separation against NFL type D-backs.
That's every Florida State receiver's issue.
Well, I think that's going to be a problem, and I think it's going to be a problem at the next level.
Yeah, but I would say, I guess I would say how many
he's going to make it.
You don't play a lot of, there's not too many great defensive backs in the NFL. It's still super.
You think he's going to make it?
I would put it less on the likely side, but I think it'd be interesting to watch.
Okay.
But
All
we'll see.
All right. Well, he has an opportunity.
Yeah, he has an opportunity.
Let's move on to lineman Devante Love Taylor, which I was surprised. I was surprised by the call to be a free agent, to be honest with you. I think Devante is let me back up for a second. Andrew Parchment will always be remembered for that play against Miami. No matter what happens in his football career, when he comes back to Tallahassee for a football game, he will get cheered because of that play.
As he should.
Period. When you beat Miami, you beat Florida, it doesn't matter what else has happened in a season. So he will be remembered for that. Devante Love Taylor. Injuries, inconsistencies, size. I was a little surprised he got a phone call. Great kid, works hard, always rehab, always did his best. I was a little shocked he got the call. I think he's undersized. I'm not sure this is the right fit for him.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, I think he's one of those guys that he's got a lot of mileage on his body. Sometimes breaking down last season. I mean, I believe he gave all he could to Florida State, which I appreciate. And he's one of those guys that came from FIU. One of these initial transfers that we got that actually somewhat stabilized the line when he was healthy. So I have nothing but have gratitude towards him. But in terms of the next level, I think it's just that mileage. Once again, though, there's so many linemen in the NFL. These teams are so low on healthy linemen that they have to grab them off the couch somewhere and bring them in and plug them in. So I think for him, if he still has the passion, he feels healthy enough, and he can show consistency, even if it's not he's not some level of consistency. I think at least he gets his name inside coach's mind, so that if he gets cut, but some guy on that team gets hurt later on, they bring him back in for another tryout, or say, okay, well, we'll keep your number. And then he gets a $50K paycheck or $100,000 paycheck later on in the season. Right. So I think it's one of those things maybe where he's just, gets his name out there, gets some tape in a mini camp, and then see what happens.
Who else got a phone call that I've missed?
I think the Emmett Rice did. He signed. Who did he sign with? Emmett Rice signed with New York Giants, so another Florida State guy at the Giants.
Yeah, Rice is a tough guy. Yeah, but he's going to have to make it on special teams.
Yeah, Jordan Wilson to the Bengals. Once again, Jordan's going to be. I mean, Jordan actually caught the ball more than I actually thought he would.
And he's a good physical size guy. He was in an offense that really doesn't throw that much to tight ends, unfortunately, and I don't understand it myself. I don't even know how the hell I don't know how we recruit tight ends.
Mike wants to use the tight ends. They're just not.
Well, we're going to see with Johnny Wilson to see. I mean, this guy's huge. If you don't utilize this guy's size, there's a problem. Okay, so back. Who else? So you
got Jordan to the Bengals, which could be interesting. I just don't know if his hands athleticism will get him up there. I think that was it. So that was.
And there may be in the coming days, there could be a couple more guys who get a call. Is there anybody who did not receive any type of phone call that surprises you?
No.
How about Mackenzie Milton? He worked out for everybody.
I mean, you can work out for everybody, but that doesn't mean people are paying attention.
Right.
I don't know why he did that. His attention's not on football.
I think it's everybody's dream to do that.
Yeah, if you get the opportunity, I get that. Yeah, I get that.
Here's a guy that almost had his leg amputated. Yeah. I know this is nothing new. We're not going to go down there, but he had an opportunity to play at Florida State, but it just didn't work out.
Yeah, he didn't.
And I'm not on him. I think he's a good guy. He's entering the business opportunities now, but pro football really doesn't. If he really believes in his dream, he needs to go to Canada. Now,
I think he's. Honestly, I don't. Yeah, he could.
Because Florida
I don't know if he
State
has that talent level yet.
You know
I
what?
still don't think he has that talent. I think he.
I don't think he does either. But you know what? Many players have gone over the border and had great careers. And I bet you there's one that most Florida State Noles fans don't even remember, don't even know about. Had a great career up there for multiple years, set all kind of records. And his name is Danny McManus. Danny McManus.
There you go.
Okay.
There you go. There you go. All right. All right. Yeah, I mean, that's one. Yeah, he was the one guy I forgot. I guess that was in it, but I don't think anyone expected him to. But if that's what he wants to do, I mean, he's doing the stuff in the NIL stuff.
Yeah.
You know, he's moving into the business end now. I don't know how he gets paid through that, but he's got a strong brand, so I think he'll be able to pivot himself in a productive way. Maybe you go.
There's one thing we wish everybody the best of luck. Our Seminole alumni, even if they were 1 year or 3 years or 4 years, whatever. Best of luck in your football career. There's Canada. There is also the XFL that'll be coming on the scene. You got the USFL. So there's opportunity.
And the FCF, the Fan-Controlled Football League.
Oh, Lord. And then you're going to drop down to the lingerie league.
Now Terrell Owens is playing in the.
I know. Come on, it's a joke. And so isn't it? Was it
Manziel?
Oh Lord! Oh, come on! All right, that's enough of that. But that's kind of the way the draft.
If you want to play football still, there's multiple leagues where you can do it. So and, listen, what do you think this draft means to our program moving forward? I think it shows you the lack of talent that your team actually has.
And it also shows that every guy that got a phone call, tell me I'm wrong, was a portal guy.
Yeah. No,
Emmett Rice wasn't.
Emmett Rice wasn't. But
everybody else was except Emmett Rice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
So it shows the impact the portal. There's no discussion about that. Every coach is going to the portal. They are staffing up just like the NFL does through free agency.
Now the question with that is the guys that got called. Did you do the best you could in the portal, and that should you have the guys that they didn't get drafted? So did you portal poorly? Or did you portal as best you could?
I think that's another discussion for another day.
Yeah.
All right. That's on that. Odds and ends. What do you got?
A couple of things, as I said, the transfer portal is kind of, you had to put your name in, I believe, by Sunday at midnight.
Yes. But it may not show up for a couple of days.
Yeah, the university, I think, has 48 hours.
Midweek, it should.
They have like 48 hours to post it. Up. So by the end of today, I believe all names should be public. I think the big news was at the ACC was Pittsburgh's star receiver. There's been huge news around this guy. This guy about basically tampering charges, and apparently Pittsburgh's coach calling USC's coach Lincoln Riley about basically tampering with his player. His basically this guy Jordan Addison at Pitt is a 1,000-yard plus player. They were ACC champion team.
They also had Kenny Pickett at quarterback. So
but this guy had 1,500 yards, 17 touchdowns. Basically, he's going to get drafted.
Why didn't he go to the draft this year?
I don't think he was eligible to. I don't think he had eligibility. Yeah. Okay. He won the Blitnikoff, top wide receiver, right? And right at the last minute, supposedly he's getting some multi-million-dollar offer from USC. Pittsburgh scrambling to try to keep him from entering his name. They get Larry Fitzgerald to talk to him and stuff like that. And they match the offer. But so this is where this stuff is going to get ugly.
Well, he's also concerned that his numbers are going to probably drop with a new quarterback coming in.
But even if they did, you see what this guy did, you see what this guy did last season.
Well, you're saying
it shows he's not going to, in my opinion, the guy's not going to, either way, if you think that, he's still going to get paid whatever other schools offering him, probably USC, at Pittsburgh, he's going to make that same money in NIL money. So even if you think your production is going to get lower, you still have the proof of work that says this is who I am when I have a qualified quarterback, right?
Who says I can see if the Pittsburgh coach says Lincoln Riley has, or a member of his coaching staff has been involved with a kid. Is that the allegation? That's a pretty stiff allegation to call up another coach and call him out on that. If you have enough evidence and you believe that to be true, why wouldn't you call the NCAA and let them investigate it? Do it that way.
Once again, because Riley probably didn't, do it. Lincoln Riley probably didn't,
well, that's what
talk to him directly, but it's, probably the big team around USC. But, the report was over the weekend that, Narduzzi confronted Lincoln Riley, basically saying there was tampering accusations right before the deadline.
Well, maybe he wants Lincoln Riley to disconnect this deal and kill it.
I don't think they care. I mean, but yeah, maybe it's one of those things like trying to start a fire before it is. So, but to your point, there, the Pitt offense is going to dramatically change. Addison does have connections to USC's new quarterback. Caleb Williams are both from DC. So there is connections there. They're both going to give them the same amount of money. So it could be that, like you said, that added factor of, okay, I want to go to an offense that's actually going to be able to use me the right way. I think it was just the timing of he waited for months to enter his name in. All of a sudden he waits till the last day. That's where he got, I think, fishy.
Now here's the deal. Okay, let's cut through the BS here. Okay, and the BS is this. We've talked about this in the past, and we will talk about it in the future, and I will talk about it in the future. This thing is, you can do pretty much anything you want, but you can't pay to play. That's all bullshit, okay? That this pay for play, you call it whatever the hell you want. When these wealthy boosters or alumni or businessmen in the community start calling guys up, which according to the rules they can, and we're saying it's not pay for play, but you've got, as long as you take this 2-year contract for whatever amount of money it is, and you just appear on a commercial now and then for this or that, we're avoiding the issue. It's strictly pay for play. That's what's going on. Let's call it what it is. And it's starting to dribble out. I've noticed since our program started airing and we're cutting through all of this, it's all starting to come out. Okay. Little by little, pay for play. And I'll give you an example. Sports Illustrated has run a recent article that was talking about now college administrators with the NCAA are looking into and going to try to gear up some warnings or gear up some rules against wealthy boosters who are using the NIL to involve themselves in recruitment. Okay. I.e. John Ruiz in Miami. They didn't name him, but we talked about him in the past. Yeah. They're calling these guys out as doing something wrong. I don't know if they're doing anything wrong or not because the NCAA is so far behind in terms of rules and guidance to the universities that it's a wild, wild west show. That's what it is. But to say, well, you can't pay anybody pay for play, BS.
I think, like you said, this article is really good. Like you said, in terms of John,
great article,
and Life Wallet, and it's basically like I feel like a shell. Like, oh, this is the corporation that you're going to be representing, even though the corporation makes no revenue, has 4 employees.
Exactly.
It's all very, very shitty when you put a corporate brand in front of it that literally doesn't do anything.
What's the date on that article?
I think the date on the article was.
If you can't, don't worry.
3 hours ago. It was posted today.
Yeah. Very good article. And, we're just on the tip of the iceberg here. Yeah. I'm fascinated by this stuff. Fascinated. Because it has, and I saw an article, we've talked about it before, and I've said it before, how college football is totally changing and how it's probably going to ruin college football. Desmond Howard came out this weekend. He tweeted out, he says, he is not a proponent of all this. He goes, it's here to stay, but he says the whole game is changing. I believe it's changing. I believe it's changing more to what the NFL almost wants it to be, and that is their total personnel system. Well, you might as well just give it to them and let them equally distribute, because what does the NFL want? They want you to develop players for them, period. Mm-hmm. That's what they want. And Jermaine Johnson, they got a perfectly developed player from the University of Georgia, from Florida State, and they got him. And that's what they want.
Yeah.
But what it's also doing, and I'll shut up about this, is here's what's going on. They are dividing, and it's starting to be talked about now by a lot of other people. There's going to be a tier system in college football, a tier system.
Let's see.
The question is, where does Florida State fit into those tiers? And right now, they're not in my first tier. And I'm sorry to say that. Yeah. And any viewers can say, oh, we don't like you. We don't like what you're saying. You have to wake up for the reality of this. We've got 3 NIL collectives going on. What do we got? Rising Spear, Warpath, and what's the other one?
They just all kind of blend together.
Hell? Well, it's just coming together. And they're begging people pretty much to, hey, send in money. We don't know where the money goes. Who is it being paid for? And they want people to contribute on a regular basis. I don't have any problem with wherever people want to contribute money.
Yeah.
I put out a tweet today on our site that said, hey, listen, give up your $7, $8 Starbucks a day, daily, and you can contribute $240 a month if that's what you want to do.
Let's listen to what Desmond said, because I think this was brought up too surrounding the Jordan Addison situation, like I was talking about earlier. And so, yeah, let's quickly see what he has to say and what you're kind of reinforcing here.
I was just talking to a friend of mine before I came out here for the draft, and I said, I'm just not a fan of the trajectory of college football right now. I do not like where it's headed. Now, I've been pounding the table for guys to get NIL money because I think they deserve it. You need to get paid for your name, image, and likeness. There's no doubt about that. But when you just place it in our lap with no real rules, no real regulations, and say, here, have at it, then it becomes the wild, wild west. So it's a double-edged sword. They should get paid. They should be able to transfer. Right. Coaches do it all the time. Right. We have coaches who leave teams when they can still make the playoff, and they leave teams. They jump ship. So if coaches can do it, players should be able to do it too. But it needs to be some sort of rules and regulations behind it. And to me, that has been the biggest problem. You hate to see this for the fans more than anything.
Yeah.
So I think what he says
shout out to ESPN and College Game Day. Yeah. I love that program.
I think the only issue is people say things need to change, but what is the solution? I think that's maybe next time what we discuss is like, what is your suggestion? People always say this isn't working. What is the changes then? What are your
let me tell you generally what happens. And it is in industry, it's in the stock markets, it's in anything that's this complicated. And it generally comes with more regulations. And the NCAA has failed college football by getting run over by this truck and not believing it was coming or happening. They had plenty of time to act or take some actions more than they have. But now with the states making their own laws of how they're going to enforce some of this stuff with their publicly paid for universities, we're going to see some horrendous stories come out, and it's going to impact certain teams. And there will be a tier system in P5.
Yep.
Flat out. We went over the top programs last time, and it's going to kill some teams.
Yeah,
they will not be able to compete.
We can continue to beat this. This dead horse all we want, but so I think we'll wrap it up there. There's a lot more to talk about.
Jody, thanks for your comment. Jody Potter, bring back old college football. We saw that. Thanks for listening in tonight.
Yeah, and so I think once again this is a very fluid situation, as you saw about the article. And things like that. So it's something we'll continue to monitor throughout the summer and going into the fall. So I'm sure, as they do these spring meetings and summer meetings, something may change quickly. So, but yeah, that kind of wraps up the show for the night. Keep follow us on Twitter if you're not already following us. Bruce, what is the handle for our Twitter account?
Our handle for our Twitter account is Seminoles SL365.
All right.
And our program is a different program here. We're here to tell you like it is from the fan perspective, and give you breaking news. We hope you like it. You can subscribe. We're not going to ask you for money. That's not what we're about. If you want to give your money to someone, go ahead and do it. It's not a problem.
All right.
All right. But we want you to understand the realities of what's going on.
Yeah. So we'll be back sometime late this week or next week. We'll be on the lookout for a couple potential transfers coming to Florida State. So if there's any breaking news, check our Twitter or check the channel. And we'll see you soon. Take care, everyone.
Okay. Thanks a lot, folks. Thanks for joining us.
Bye-bye.